So today we'll be looking at the increase and decrease of functions. So I have a question here. It's asking us what is the interval of increase for the function represented by the graph. So as usual, on my light pink note, I've written out some points that can help us understand the question. I've also broken down the question in such a way that when I'm explaining, you will be able to understand exactly how to go about the problem. So on the graph itself, you will notice a green line that I've drawn with an arrow showing decrease, and you notice a red line with another arrow showing increase. You also notice a blue line. That blue line is called the line of symmetry because it divides the graph into two equal parts, and the green line shows the decrease. So for this graph, the graph starts coming from negative infinity and it decreases down until we get to 3. Now, there's something about increase and decrease of functions. You don't look at the y value of a point. You're only interested in the x values of that point. So increase and decrease only deals with the x values. This is why at this point I have shown that this point is 3 minus 4, but I'm only talking about 3 because that is only what we're interested in. So this graph decreases from negative infinity down to 3, and then it increases upward. So this red line shows that increases going upward. So now down to the light pink note. The first thing here I've written is 1. Functions increase from left to right on a graph. So if you look at the graph, you will notice that it decreased first before it began to increase. So that is one thing about decrease and increase on a graph. Excuse me. Now the second thing is increase can be written in interval notation or as an inequality. In this case, we're asked to write the increase in form of interval notation. You notice the question says, what is the interval of increase? So it's going to be an interval. It's not going to be as an inequality. The third thing is, when written in interval notation, we do use square brackets to show that we do not use square brackets to show that starting and ending points are included. Now, if you look at the options given to us here, you find out that just a normal parenthesis is used. A is minus 4 minus infinity, B is minus infinity minus 4, C is minus infinity 3, and D is 3 infinity. So you just a normal parenthesis used. Now, where you would have the confusion of whether you're going to use a square bracket or just a normal parenthesis is if you're looking for the domain and range of this function. So let's say we are looking for the domain and range of this function. Let me just give you an instance. Not that is absolutely right. If you're looking for the domain of this function, and let's say 4, let's use option A, minus 4 is included in the domain of the function, we are going to use this square bracket to write minus 4 first. Then we'll put a comma, and then we'll proceed to write, let me say it ends at 8, but 8 is not included in the domain, so I will now write 8 with a parenthesis. This parenthesis just after 8 shows that 8 is not included in the domain, but this square bracket just before minus 4 shows that minus 4 is a part of the domain. So this is what I'm talking about in the third point. For increase and decrease, we don't need this square bracket I wrote here. It's only just parentheses. The points are always included. So let's go back to the question now and get the answer to the question. So as stated earlier, the graph decreases from minus infinity coming down. So at this point now, the lowest point 3, where the graph stops coming down, it begins to go up. As you can see, the red line marks where it starts going up. So this red line along with this arrow indicates an increase, and it's increasing from 3 to God knows where. If you look at the arrow, it shows that it continues upward. There's no end to it, so that means it increases to infinity. There's no end to it. So if you look at the options, you will see A is minus 4 minus infinity, that's wrong. B is minus infinity minus 4, that's equally wrong. C is minus infinity 3, that's wrong. And D is 3 infinity. So what did we say? We said 3 is where it stops decreasing and it begins to increase to infinity. So look at option D. You have 3, you have infinity. So that shows us the interval of increase of this graph. So the right option is option D, 3 infinity. So even though I've given different ideas, I would like you to, on your own, look at the graph and write out the decrease, the interval of decrease, as well as the decrease in inequality. Just give it a try. Write out the interval of increase in interval notation like I have explained here, and also try and write it as an inequality. You can do this in the comment section, and I would reply to every comment as I can. So have a nice rest of your day.